Hi, this is Gloria, your life coach. Welcome to another episode of Life's a Shuffle.
This is Ron Johnson, your life coach, leadership coach, health coach, and personal trainer. And don't forget that motivational speaker. Welcome to an episode, Life's a Shuffle. One thing I didn't realize today, this will be our 30th episode. And
Wow.
30th episode. And this is really, really good. I didn't know that I'd record these many episodes, but I'm happy, I'm excited. From the feedback I'm getting, making an impact on, we are making an impact on a lot of our youth out there and making an impact probably globally. From what I can see, the downloads is reading different countries, India, Norway, New Zealand, Germany, Morocco, and definitely United States because we live out here. So there's one topic we're going to talk about that's important to everybody: letting go. All of us have we hold on a lot of things in life. It can be resentment, it can be frustrations, anger, fear, doubt. It can be going to go to a basketball competition. You're going to play basketball or volleyball or hockey. We hold on to something. Even in relationships, we hold on to something. We have an old relationship and go to a new one. We bring something with us with that. And usually, the biggest thing about letting go is what is coming up, what's happening to you. A lot of times, our life is based upon one simple factor: our belief system. An easy way to describe that is your belief system is comprised of what you experience, your environment, what you heard, and what you learned. A lot of times, our belief system comes from childhood. We're not, I think I said in the last podcast, we're not born with a map. Now, obviously, poop, pee, and food, that's general. But the belief system is coined by parents. Perfect example. Money doesn't grow on trees. That's a belief system. Men don't cry. That's a belief system, right? And this belief system becomes the way we see our life. And the life we see are through filters. Everybody walks around with different filters. One person can have red, one person has blue, black. It can be whatever's. When you let go of those filters and those belief systems, which are comprised by judgment, you actually are living free. Like, have you ever seen that movie Matrix? I mean, those that are old enough to remember Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And
One of my
the
favorite
movie, he
movies.
says,
Yeah.
exactly, he says, Neo, free your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's what about letting go is: freeing your mind. Because the more free your mind is, the more you have to be creative and more you don't hold attachment, expectation, judgment. So, Gloria, tell me something about your life that was hard for you to let go of.
Oh, gosh, we're going deep now. There,
Of course.
you want something deep or just something simple? I mean, there's so many.
Oh, come on now. Life isn't that simple. Let's go deep. Let's dive in.
Yeah, there's so many instances. I think I've talked about this several times on our podcast, and I think I'm pretty sure that there's still a part of me that probably has not let go of it. And what it is this situation that I have with my biological father, that I haven't had any type of relationship with him. Um, and as much as uh, I tell people, or I tell myself sometimes that, I'm okay. I think I've let that part of my life go. I don't think I have. I think I'm pretty sure that deep down it's still there, because I still, I still think about it from time to time. I was talking to one of my peer coaches, Amy, one time about this, and we talked about signs. And sometimes, you know, I I'm just going on with my life. I'm living my life. And one day I'll just see something that I feel like it's a sign that, okay, it's time. You need to look for him. You need to figure out where he is. You need to reach out to him. If I just see, like, I think I was going through an old album one time and I saw a picture of him. And then and then a picture of us too. I was like, oh shoot. Like, what does that mean? I'm that type of person that I kind of like try to um put meaning to some stuff, and I think that's what I did. So that, I think, part of me has not really let go. And that is part of what you said, my childhood. Um, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna debunk something. People always say it's a sign. It's coming up to sign. Something's happened. It's a sign. Okay, the easy way to explain things: until you deal with something, it will keep coming up. Until you deal with guilt, fear, regret, your belief systems, a challenge, it will come up. It will constantly be there until it comes up. Have you ever seen a situation where someone holds in their holds in their feelings, hold it in, next thing you know, they just blow up? You're like, man, why was this guy go so upset over something small, like, stepped on my shoe by accident or something, or I got in a car accident, he blows it because he held all this stuff inside him that blows up. So when people say, you know what, oh, it's a sign, well, is it an intuition, a feeling, a thought, or more importantly, has it been something you never haven't dealt with? We discussed it before when we had our first podcast, regrets. Meeting your dad, knowing if he still wants you, if he did want you, those are feelings that you haven't allowed to fester. And what I mean by that, you haven't allowed them to come up and ask questions to yourself. What happens is most of us, we deal with that by suppressing our feelings, by pushing it down deeper and deeper and deeper. And then we just, out of sight, out of mind, we don't deal with it. But over time, it does come up. You're like, damn it, I just dealt with it 6 months ago. Why is it coming up again? Darn, it's been 10 years. That's 10 years ago. Why is it coming up now? Because you haven't really dealt with the root cause. Like they say with a root, you cut the top of a root off, it still grows back. You can go get down to the root and cut it out.
Hmm.
And that's why things with your dad keep showing up, because you haven't dealt with the root problem yet.
That, and plus, sometimes we tend to hold on to things, right? So sometimes holding on is a habit. I may have been holding on to this for a certain reason. I don't know what it is, but sometimes we hold on to things without realizing it.
Oh yeah, because we are human beings. One thing we're not don't know how to do is we have attachments to a lot of things. You have attached to all kinds of stuff. You have attachment to. Have you heard the expression of that sentimental value? Because you have attachment to that. It
Hmm.
means something to you. Okay, it could be something that some long lost relative gave you that you want to keep. Great, but we hold attachments and expectations, which create suffering.
Right. So, sometimes we hear this a lot. We often hear we need to let go of something that we can't control when it seems to be causing us problems. But at the same time, we need to understand why we even get attached to the things in the first place.
Because attachment comes with expectation.
There you go. That's what it is. It's expectations. And it's an internal process that must happen for you to truly, feel better. So um, it's more than just saying, I have to let go. There's acceptance, right? So accepting what is happening and not worrying about it, maybe, and just wait whatever comes up and just let it come up. Yep.
Yep, and once it comes up, you have to deal with
Hmm.
it. Then
The thing is, like, the human mind sometimes can be our worst enemy, and having that power to let things go starts from there.
I want to challenge you on something there.
Okay.
So the human mind doesn't feel anything. It doesn't. It's the body, the mind, and the conscious being that feel, that have thought. The mind doesn't feel anything. Yes, this receptives, as the sky blue, is it raining outside, or this feels rough, or that feels smooth. But the mind has no feeling at all. It doesn't have consciousness. Consciousness controls the mind, then the mind then controls the body, not vice versa.
So you're saying thoughts are nothing but just thoughts.
Thoughts are what we give meaning to something.
So what we
Okay.
decide to do with them.
Okay, perfect example. In our podcast, Regrets,
Hmm.
you asked one question about, does my dad love me? Okay, the word does he love me means nothing. But when you ask that question, does he love me, you give power to those thoughts. The thought itself means nothing, it has no meaning, it has no consciousness, it has no thought, it has nothing. It's you giving meaning to those things that create suffering. They create attachments, create expectations. So
Mhm.
anything in life that happens to you, I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm anxiety. Let me say this one more time. People that are depressed are clinically depressed and they should seek professional help. But depression is used very loosely, but let's use depression, anxiety, stress, frustration, fear, and these are all negative attributes. Okay, used as one. Let's use I feel good, I'm happy, I'm going on vacation. Okay, those words mean nothing. We give me what's vacation mean? Oh, it means I'm away from work. It means I'm traveling somewhere. It means I spend time with family. We give meanings to the word vacation. Vacation by itself means nothing. Doesn't feel anything. Fear means nothing. You give meaning to fear.
Yeah.
Stress it means nothing. You give meaning to stress.
But letting go sometimes it can be really hard for some because sometimes some of them may not even know what letting go means. Um, and they don't know what to do. Um, it's a challenge. It means letting go of, like we said, the expectations, right? Of how things should have been.
Hmm.
So I think for me, I can that part I can really relate because I've had these thoughts of idea of how things should have been, and maybe I haven't really have gotten let go of that. If I every time I think about the past, where when I was younger, I've had a thought of this is how it should have been between him and I, like a father daughter type of relationship. You know, it should have been that way, but I've never really accepted it, and I thought I have. Um, But I think if you're able to let go and start accepting things as they are instead of how you'd like them to be,
Hmm. Again, attachment expectation.
right, then yes, you're right. You'll find that, you'll suffer less from any problems of stress, emotional ties, or to the past or the future. In my case, maybe to the past, right? Um, but by letting go, yes, you're right. You're setting yourself free.
Well, the first part about letting go is there's one thing that I said in the last podcast, it's a hot ember and it's our emotions. Behind the word letting go, you have to dig deep and see what is the feeling. It could be whatever it is. It
Hmm.
could be I'm upset, I'm sad, I'm guilty, I regret, I have desires. Whatever the feeling is, you have to ask that question, what is the feeling? Perfect example, something for myself. I can give several examples. So two things that I realized that were just beliefs that I came up with that someone told me and became part of my life. First belief is I'm bad at spelling and I'm bad at grammar. Because when I was in school, I needed grades in it. So the presumption is teachers, oh, you're just not that good at it. Okay, so guess what? In elementary, middle school, high school, and even into adulthood, it became my belief. Oh, I'm bad at it. I can't change it. I'm just bad at it. Okay, that became my belief. Now, that's not true. It's what was true to them being TRUE, but not the truth, which is TRUTH. Truth is universal.
Hmm.
So that became my belief. So when I walk through life, I had this billboard in my head that says I'm bad at grammar, I'm bad at math, bad at grammar, bad at spelling. I'm not going to do anything with it. So I avoided all those. But everything in life keeps coming up. You got to send emails. You got to write documentations. I'm a business owner. You got to communicate. Those are coming up. Now, do I make mistakes? I'm human. I mean, I'm part of being human is I can't be 100% perfect at every single thing. But that became my belief, and I held that on for over 30 years. A belief, a simple mind. I gave power to the fact that I'm bad at spelling grammar. I allow that emotion or that thought to control me, and it has no meaning. I gave power to that meaning. Another belief system I had: I'm bad at communication.
Mm.
Now, we listen to podcasts and vlog videos. You wouldn't think that, but I'm talking about in terms of relationships. But it's not the idea of being bad about communication. Again, I'm giving power to that word. The feeling behind that was if I communicate to someone how I really feel, okay, I communicate to someone how I really feel, which is my personal feeling, they won't like me anymore. So I repress the feeling of communicating to somebody because they won't like me if I tell them how I feel.
Mhm.
I don't want to be rejected. So the feeling is loneliness, the feeling is rejection, the feeling is okay, well, I may not say anything because I don't want to feel rejected. I want them to like me. And I'm not just talking about relationships with the opposite sex. I'm talking relationships in general,
Mhm.
friends, relationships with people. You don't tell them how you feel because, I don't want them to reject me. So I just came more bad, and I was coined the phrase bad communication. Bad communication doesn't really exist. I only gave power to something. I gave consciousness to a word that meant something to me. But when I start looking at the feeling behind that word, I'm bad at communication. Then I realized, wait a minute, what is the feeling behind it? Oh, I feel I'm going to be rejected. I feel I'm going to lose. I feel I'm going to lose something. So all those words of negative, fear, doubt, guilt came up, and I avoided it. Again, something I learned in childhood. Those are things that we as human beings don't realize our conscious and unconscious mind have more power than anything known out there to man. Anything you can physically touch. Okay. We know God as being all empowered human being, Jesus Christ. Those are believing Christianity or whatever it is, or even Hindu, right?
Mhm.
They're beings. We give them power because we believe. We give our feelings and our emotions power. So letting go all means that what are you letting go of? What is the feeling behind that word? Is it a belief you've had? Now, also beliefs create suffering. You know what? I want to be a basketball player, but I'm not 6'9". I can't be a basketball player. And that's really false.
Mhm.
One basketball player, I think is Muggsy, whatever his last name is, was 5'8", like basketball. Now, was he the Michael Jordan? No, but he didn't use height against him. So you have more power out there than you think because you give meaning to feelings. It means something to you, and you got to figure out what it is.
It's a conscious choice.
Mhm. Or sometimes it's unconscious. How many things in your life you do right now just out of pure habit, just because you've been doing it for so long?
Mhm. That's
Don't think
true.
about it.
That's true.
I mean, how many times you get in your car, know you're going to a particular place all the time, and don't think about driving there, just go? How many times have you driving home think about something else, you miss the exit? Okay, all of us have done this. You having GPS, you turn down the radio really low so you can hear it
Yes.
where to
Yeah,
go. The
uh-huh.
radio has nothing to do with the GPS.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what I mean. We get powerful things over us.
Yeah.
Nothing has power over us but ourselves.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this letting go situation. I think you're right about that. You're absolutely right. Sometimes it could be really challenging for others and scary.
Of
Yeah,
course,
and it could be painful, most especially if it's something they're not ready to do.
and that's totally understandable.
And that's
See,
fine. Yeah,
here's
it's
the thing.
normal.
It's fine. Right. So here's the thing is you just said right now, Ron, you're totally right. You're totally right. Okay. Here's the thing is I don't want to get power to right. I want to bring more awareness to what's really happening. Right, wrong, good or bad do not exist. We give power to what's right and what's wrong. No, give an example. Then some people say, you know what, you commit a murder, you should die. Some people say you commit a murder, we should not be eye for eye. You should stay alive. Right? We see it
Mhm.
all the time because some people feel this is right, some people feel that is right. Okay, there's no such thing. It doesn't not exist in the universe. Good, bad, right or wrong. It's human beings that give power to what is good, what is right, what is bad, what is wrong. Okay, no difference in Republicans and Democrats. I'm not talking about politics here on the podcast, but some people say Democrats are right. Some people say Republicans are right. Will you get power to what's right or wrong, good or bad for yourself? When we come back to letting go, let's say, for example, my life, my dad remarried when I was 7. And my stepmom was your typical stepmom. She was out for herself. She was selfish, self centered. She called me fat. She abused her power, used my dad for his money and what he had to offer. Okay. For so many years, I held on to the fact I just used the word hate. And my dad always tell me, son, hate's not a good thing. It's against God's principles. It's a powerful thing. But when you're a kid, hate is what you know. You don't know how to express how you feel about something. You don't know how to express what it means. I hate this person. You just have a dislike for them, whatever it may be. So now, as an older man, do I have any communication with her? I haven't seen talk to her in, I don't know what, almost 20 years, 18,
Oh,
19,
it's a
I
long
think.
time. Yeah.
So I don't know if she's dead or alive. I have no idea. And I, personally, I don't go and seek if she's alive. So I don't know. But now I can dissect my feelings. My feelings behind this was this: I didn't feel protected. And what I mean by that is that my dad was a good man, but what happened, he would go to work. His job was to go to work, make money, come back home. My stepmom was the one to take care of the household. So I had feelings of I'm not being protected because she would then dictate what she should do for us. And I'm an individual. So how she treated her kids or how she raised them, she didn't try to raise me the same thing. I'm a complete individual. I never forget. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to ask my, hey, dad, could I have $5 when $5 actually meant something, okay? Or $10. She started saying, no, you have to do chores to get $5. You have to do allowance. I resented that. That's not what I'm used to. But as a kid, they don't explain that to you, okay? Another example is that when my dad remarried her, I disliked her for some reason. Something about her I just didn't like, right? It's just something that made intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting in trouble at school. I was sent to principal office countless times. I kicked a teacher. I never got expelled, but those things happen. And it was because out of all that suppressed feeling, I was reacting at school. I didn't like my environment at home. I didn't like the treatment I was facing. I didn't like all these things. So guess what? I took that out on being in school. Principal's office all the time. I mean, one time I was a kid, and I don't know if people remember ding dongs that came in foil. Now I don't think ding dongs even exist, but they came in foil. I bought a foil up one day, threw it at a bird that had a bad leg. So when I told the principal, I got to the principal office on timeout. I mean, all these things, but the feeling was I was in a situation I didn't know how to control. So it was manifesting other avenues. My dad was thinking, well, he's just going through, he's a bad kid, he's just, and I'm not a teenager at this point. I'm still in elementary. I'm like, I don't know, second, third, fourth, fifth grade,
Yeah.
all these things. Because what I was facing was I was suppressing my feelings at home because no one was protecting me about how to deal with this person that was treating me fair. Another example, perfect example. To this day, I will not eat it. So let's say rice. Okay.
Okay.
I ate rice. But she would make it. Actually, no, sorry. Me take that back. Me use Cheerios. Okay. So me, I like the sweet cereal, the Fruit Loops, the Batman cereal, all that stuff back in those days. Captain Crunch, I liked it. So she would not buy Captain Crunch or what I like. She'll buy Cheerios and be like, know what? This is cereal. You eat it or you don't. That's what we have here to eat. I can't stand Cheerios to this day.
Oh my.
I'm telling you, some small as Cheerios. I can't stand Cheerios till this. I just can't get it. I will not eat Cheerios. I just don't look at the box or anything because I have so much anger
Yeah.
and frustrations because here it is. I didn't like it, and instead of saying, okay, well, what do you like, or listening, okay, well, let's buy a different box for you. Okay, let's make it happy and enjoyment of a feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, no, I'm gonna force you what you force to see because this is what I buy and this is what's here. Perfect example of something. But all those feelings will start to be repressed. So my habit about communicating my feelings since I was 7 years old, 8 years old, when I was really dealing with my stepmom, all that kind of mess going on, were repressed. So what do you think is going to happen when I'm an adult? I'm not going to express my feelings because I'm fear something's going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm. Scared.
So that's how letting go that happened when I was 7. I'm 37 now. That's 30 years of holding on to that mess.
Mm-hmm.
30 years of holding on to all those feelings. Because I always say feelings because feelings have a lot of power. And what I was going through is I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody to say how I was feeling with myself. It was just deal with it, deal with it, deal with it, deal with it, deal with it. And what was happening, I was dealing with something that it was coming out in other ways. You know, I was an introvert. I was overweight as a kid. I had to deal with that issue, no weight. Again, I get proud of overweight, right? It's a society that says you're supposed to look a certain way. I was healthy. I was fine. I didn't have diabetes, all that stuff. But I gave power to being overweight. But those things I just don't know. So until you know what's really happening, you cannot let go. Until you bring awareness to your feelings, you cannot let go. And until you bring awareness to those things that are happening and you start letting go, they'll keep manifesting themselves in other ways. Like communicating how I felt when I was a kid, manifesting into having communication issues with relationships only because I couldn't communicate as a kid.
Hmm.
Okay, so see how that kind of, even though it's a different scenario, it's a different way of something, it's still manifested as a belief. When I was a kid, you don't say anything, kids don't complain, you do what you do and you shut up. Again, now it manifested to an adult, and it's just a different way because I didn't never dealt with it.
Yeah. And that's why I think, I've realized in certain situations, sometimes it's important to know why you're feeling a certain way and how you can show up differently. Now, that could be a process, and it is an awareness. It's not going to happen overnight. That this didn't happen overnight for us. We've actually have to had gone through all that, and many years later on, and we realize, well, wait a minute, it's time to let go. I have to let this go because it is affecting me. And that's what I'm saying is, in certain situations, it's important to know why you're feeling that way in that certain way until you realize it, and then maybe it's time to let go of the past, of let go of what it really is. It's a choice to decide that you will no longer think deeply on things that are out of your control. Maybe focus on what you can control instead. Accepting what is happening right now and not worrying about what will come up.
That's totally true. And one of the biggest ways you are able to let go is, and what's really great about these times we live in now is that we're more open about communication. Meaning, if you need help, you need help. Find it right.
Hmm.
Before it's like you need help. Are you crazy? Or you're not, so you don't need help. You're good, right? So we're realizing now with the new modern technology and research and science, and all that stuff, that okay, it's not one size fits all for human beings. We're all different. We all need help in different ways. Some people need help now. Some people get help to their 60s. We all need some form or fashion of help. And the way to get help is ask for it. The way to get help is read, research. We have the internet nowadays. When I grew up in the 90s, I mean, we had AOL. And those that remember that little small disc,
Hmm.
that's all you had. And that was bing, bing, shh, bing, and trying to find, a connection, right? And if that number didn't work, to hang it back up. But now with the smartphones, laptops, computers, iPads, I mean, there's a lot of ways to find a lot of
So
information
much
out
more
there.
convenient now too.
But what you need to do is anything that happens in your life, first question yourself, what is the feeling? If you don't ask yourself what is the feeling, then how are you going to bring awareness to what's happening? Okay. So let's say right now it's COVID still, and a lot of states are shelter in place or counties, whatever it is. What is the feeling? What's going on? Some people, like we talked about earlier, you felt so good getting out the house playing volleyball, sand volleyball a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
So the feeling when you were at home was of sadness, loneliness. Sadness created another thing of frustration. Sadness because I can't do what I like. Frustration because I want to do what I liked.
Yep. It creates anxiety, stress.
There you go. It list can go on and on.
Hmm.
So you got to look at that more deeply because that's the only way you bring awareness to something. You don't just all of a sudden, oh, I'm aware, unless someone brings it to your attention, but you may not understand because it's always the feeling behind something. It's one thing they taught us in life coaching is what is the feeling and what is the thought.
And that's when you let it come up. You let those feelings come up. Once it comes up, I know this is hard. And again, I'm going to say this: it is easier said than done. Once that comes up and you recognize that, then it's fully accepting the situation as it is, without wishing it would be different. You have to we'll have to accept to start accepting, and not just a situation, okay? It could be with people. So we'll have to start accepting people for who they are and believing them when they show us their true characters. Because sometimes we tend to kind of let go of certain people, even if we feel like they're not being real with us. But why are we still holding on to them, right? Well, maybe they are. That's their true, authentic self, whether we like it or not. but that's who they are. And then, so then again, it comes the acceptance. We accept people for who they are.
And another way to look at it too is if you accept people who you are, first of all, you shouldn't have any judgment upon anybody. And the acceptance is accepting what you don't like. So if you don't have any judgment, you don't have to worry about accepting. It just is.
Hmm.
And we talk about people, or let's say losing friends. It's not really about losing them. It's the fear of not being a part of something. It's the fear of lack of having them in my life. It means if I don't lose them, who's going to be my friend? It's a lack of something. Because usually when something doesn't feel good, like let's say sadness, anxiety, depression, it's a negative feeling. You never hear someone say, "I feel positive. I feel positive, but then I feel like crap." They feel positive. There's no when positivity, happiness. There's no negative feeling. Losing creates all these other feelings. I may not be able to be friends with this person. I'm losing them. Fear, doubt, anxiety, worry, frustration. It creates more avenues. But when you move past the level of conscious awareness, sub and conscious awareness, then you realize things are just in a flow,
Hmm.
and life is transitory.
Hmm. So it's releasing anything that disrupts your happiness and that no longer serves you.
Yep. Because what happens if it no longer serves you, then it really didn't serve you in the beginning. It served for a point of time, but if it came from a level of conscious awareness, purpose, fulfillment, love, you wouldn't have to worry about saying it doesn't serve me anymore.
No.
Example of that, I'll give one like example. When I quit my full time job, I was obviously in a mindset of scarcity. You know, you're not making a paycheck every 2 weeks, uncertainty, fear, doubt, worry. I mean, all those were all coming up. That just happens when you take a risk of quitting a full time job, which depend upon moving on to something else. That I went from having a corporate job, 9 to 5, knowing what I'm doing for 14 years to straight to personal training, which I had no way how to run a business, how to confront my personal issues. I mean, personal issues which are fear, doubt, anxiety, and worry. They don't. No one teaches us how to do those. But what happened at that time, what served me a purpose was I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to make sure I survive. That served me a purpose for almost 3 years. But what happens when that purpose, I'm gonna do what I need to do to survive, mean make money, so I can sustain a life. What happens is start running out of fuel. And I started realizing I was getting frustrated. Like, why am I not pushing harder? Why am I not doing this harder? Why I'm always asking why? And because that fuel was depleted. If I quit my full-time job, started my career in personal training because I wanted to obviously help people, but I came from a place of love, I would never run out of fuel. When I came from a place of lack, means I got to do what I have to do to survive. Then over a period of time, it ran out of fuel because I couldn't keep it up. I just couldn't keep it up. I was running out of gas. That's what started happening. But when I transitioned from I'm going to build something that fits my purpose, so I'm going to be in line with myself because it just is.
Hmm.
I'm going to come from a place of love, not a place of force. I'm going to start aligning myself with what I want. More big for me, everybody's different, comparison. You know, perfect example, if someone has 100,000 followers on social media, I thought they were more successful than me. When I know now plenty of people that have less than that are zero and are very successful. I know millionaires that have zero followers, don't even have an Instagram, and are very successful. So when I detach myself from the expectation that my success is geared to how many followers I have on social media, then I became more valuable for myself. I was more in alignment with my purpose versus comparing myself to somebody else. And that's when I started getting more power back. See, when I was giving power to those followers or whoever had 100,000 followers, if they're doing a certain amount of video, I got to make sure I copy that video. If they have a million followers, I got to make sure I do. So everything they did, I had to do the same thing because I was in line with their journey and their purpose, whatever they're doing in their life. I was giving myself less power. I was giving them more power. Okay. When I subtract myself out of their journey and became in line with my purpose in life, I gave Ron Johnson more power. So you become in line with your journey, your purpose in life, you're giving yourself more power, not anybody else. When you're in line with someone else's journey and following what they're doing, trying to compete, what they're doing, your less energy is reserved for you. Matter of fact, you feel more depleted, more exhausted, more frustrated, more everything of those negative feelings and energies because you're not in line with yourself.
Hmm. Sometimes, that's what happens too, is you get so caught up with comparing yourself with others, um, and and competing. I mean, I have a good example with that would be the competition, like volleyball games, right? I know that sometimes, you have a winning team that's always winning, winning, winning. And then let's say there comes us, our team, who is, let's say we're on the top three, right? But then you end up playing this team that, I remember the girls, like I think one of the girls was just like, we have to beat this team. We have to beat this team. Like, why? Why do you have to? So then you have this in your mind that you have to beat this team. And if it doesn't go your way, what happens? You get disappointed, you're angry, you're frustrated at everybody else in the team because you feel like you're the only one doing the work, you're the only one doing the job, and everyone else is messing up. But you get so caught up with that in your mind, and that the emotion of, the sometimes it's the drama, like you're dwelling in your emotions. And yes, we like positive emotions, but the negative emotions, you get so caught up with that, and sometimes it does get you attention. But not only does it affect you, it can affect everybody else around you. So then the expectations of you, of, like I said, like the team, of winning and trying to beat this really really good team that, or at least we thought was a really, really good team at that time, it's just not going to happen, because then you end up playing, I don't want to say crappy, but you're just not playing your game. You're not who you are in the court, because you end up being somebody else.
There's something I'll never forget. My life coach told me, wish you were different, will only create suffering. So that girl you had, her value was tied towards beating that team. So the more value she gave to that team, I got to beat them, I got to beat them, is giving them more power to beat you.
And that's exactly what was happening. It's like, well, let's just focus on the present. Let's just play. You guys are in there in the court, play the game. Don't worry about beating them. Don't look at the score. But because she was so stressed about it, about like, we have to beat them. We
Yeah,
can't
because
let them beat us and blah, 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 blah. But anyways,
because
yeah. So what ends up
the va-
happening is they were beating us, right?
yeah, because see, there was a fear, doubt, because the doubt was, I'm not worthy until I beat this team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now here you are, you're in already a negative mindset. If I don't beat this team, I'm not going to be looked at as good. Because as you beat the team, or you guys beat the team, that person felt, oh my goodness, I feel so happy now, right? Because she was valuing them more than she was valuing herself.
But in this
She was giving attachment to expectation.
Right, but in this sense though, it wasn't just about her. It was about the team and and
Hmm.
playing together as a team. But
Oh, okay.
but it seems to me that she made it where it was just about her. And yeah, and I understand what you're saying is, it was just at that moment about her.
Well, for her, she gave a, maybe it's a team want to win.
Mm,
Let's say if 100, let's say 100 is 100, right? And let's say let's make the number even, right? You got five girls, right? So that's
6.
hold on, I need more, six girls, right?
Mhm.
So her energy was higher,
Mhm.
the value was higher
Mhm.
on the Richter scale about beating that team than the rest of the people. Even though people were in line, hey, we got to win, we got to beat them because we want to make the playoffs, we want to get a higher rank, we want to get a better position, we want to feel good, whatever it may be. The feeling, again, feelings, it came down to her feeling was great. Her value towards being that person was greater than anybody else. So that's why she kept resonating. Okay, I got to beat this team because her value was there. Something she wanted to get out of that. And whatever it is, I don't know.
Yep, and very high expectations.
Hmm. Of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what creates suffering. The expectation.
The expectations, and at that moment, I'd say, stay present, because that's all you have. you have to make an effort to remember and allow yourself to open up and enjoy what is right in front of you.
Hmm. Most certainly. Because the thing is that, like I said before, we can only control what's in front of us. We can't control what happens 5 minutes from now and 5 minutes to go, but we can control what's in the present moment. Thus, allowing you and your body and your mind, especially, sorry, your conscious mind, to focus energy at one thing. Because you can't do everything well. You can't do everything right. You can't focus every single thing. It doesn't work that way.
Just focus on what you can control.
Yeah, that's it. There's a book by Ryan Holiday I picked up called Daily Stoic, and pretty much it's 366 pages, but you read a page a day. And it talks about, he talked about today in the Daily Stoic about Bill Belichick. And it was ironic is that 2 days ago I watched a documentary on Bill Belichick. And the thing is, he says, always do your job. Do your job. Don't worry about what else is happening. Do your job. Stay in that present moment from what you can control. That's the key right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do your job. Stay in the present moment of what you can control. What happens 5 minutes from now, what happened 5 minutes ago, they're non-existent. They were just moments in time. So I hope you guys really listen to this podcast about letting go, because we all need some healing at some point. Some things in our life, our belief systems, the way we view our filters, the way we view people, judgment. I mean, the list can go on, and it did in this podcast. But the bottom line is that I want everybody to know is that you have the power. Please do not allow other things around you, phrases, terms, what someone says about you, to take away your power. Because the only time is when someone says you're stupid, you're dumb, okay, those words mean nothing. But when they said to you, you then now create meaning to those words. What stupid and dumb are suffering words, which now you create suffering. Now you create self-doubt. You now what you believed the whole time you were dumb now becomes more and more what you believe because someone else said it. So all someone does is align with you already believe and makes you feel better. It's no difference than, hey, what do you think about this? And someone says, oh, I think you should buy that. Okay, good. You already knew you could buy it anyways. Why would you ask for someone else's opinion? You already knew what you're going to do. So you're going to do it anyway. So why waste your time on something else? So it's all about giving value for yourself, giving your energy back, living in the present moment, allowing those feelings to come up, express those feelings, because once you express them, you allow more power for yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed our 30th episode of Life's a Shuffle and Letting Go. And always, you guys can find me under Ron Johnson Life Coach, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can always email me at ronbusinesscoaching.com. My website's www.ronbusinesscoaching.com, because let's live better, guys. Today's the time.
And yes, expressing those feelings. And expressing those feelings could mean talking about it with somebody. So again, stay present and remember that every day we have a choice. Again, this is Gloria, your life coach. You can find me on Instagram, Gloria Life Coach, or www.glorialifecoaching.com. And again, thank you for all your support and tuning into our podcast. And thank you again for listening today on another episode of Life's a Shuffle.